Okay.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Greg Dixon here, and we we just lost our guest, but anyway, going to be talking with Nathan Turner here. He's in Alberta near Calgary. His company is Earnest Investing, and he's also managing and running the host of the Diversified Mortgage Expo. And here he is. And ta-da! so welcome, Nathan.
Hey,
And
thank you.
I did a brief introduction while you were traveling through the ethers, and
Yes.
so maybe you can introduce yourself, how you got into mortgage note investing, the kinds of real estate investing you do, and what earnest investing does.
Sure. All right. So we'll start with me. My name's Nathan Turner. I live just outside of Calgary, Alberta in Canada, and I am a note investor, meaning I buy residential mortgages all over the US. And I've been doing this since 2008, and I love my job. So I am out doing this. I'm raising capital for my new fund. I'm also the host of the Diversified Mortgage Expo, which is a conference put on in Nashville. We do that the first weekend in June, and it's for anything and everything notes. So if people who are already in notes and just want to come and connect with other note investors, or people that are brand new to notes and want to learn more, this is the place to be.
That's perfect. So maybe you can give just a quick definition of what a note investment is. I think that might be a bit new for some people.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a new concept. So if you haven't heard of it, don't worry. Most people haven't. So you're in good company. So I'll start off. I'll tell you about how I got started, and that'll explain a little bit about what it is. So I came from a real estate background. I was flipping properties out in Saskatoon. If anybody tuning in knows where that is, I was living in Montreal and flipping these properties out in Saskatoon. Was doing well with that, and then the market turned in 2007 and I got stuck with one property. So I did what everybody does when you have a property, is you rent it, right? That's what you do. So I rented it out. I quickly discovered that I really liked the cash flow that came from that rental, and I also discovered that I didn't like anything else about being a landlord. And it was difficult, and it was time consuming, and it was not as advertised. I thought that this was just going to be a great investment. And although I did like the cash flow, I didn't like any of the stuff that went along with that. So fast forward a little bit, a friend of mine had moved down to the US. He had run into a bunch of investors that bought a bunch of property, mostly centered in the Midwest. And at this point, this was fall of 2008, they knew that they were in trouble. They had this portfolio that really they couldn't do anything with. So they gave it to us and said, just do whatever you can. So a couple of Canadian boys, we thought we were pretty inventive. We thought we'd come up with this thing called seller financing, where we were just selling properties on terms. So instead of people in the house paying rent, they're paying a principal and interest payment. And then we were going to be handing over the property once they made all the payments. The same way you'd kind of buy a car. That's when title changes, is when you make all those payments. So that was our brilliant idea. And then I was introduced to this whole world. I started doing some research and found out that there's a lot of people that do this. Went to my first note conference in 2009, and it just kind of went from there. So all that to say, a note is an IOU. So it's all just written down on a piece of paper that says party A owes party B X amount of dollars. We're going to split that up to X amount per month with an X% interest rate. And if they don't pay, here are the consequences. That's basically what a note is, and in its very simplest terms.
Yeah, that's fabulous. A promissory note, just similar legally to what a bank would give you, but it's between you and the borrower.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's been fabulous. I guess the story with one of yours is you didn't want the termite toilets and tenants,
all of that stuff, and that's what I discovered, is that with notes, I get all the cash flow that I really liked as a landlord, but I'm not responsible for the house directly. I'm the bank in that situation. So the bank, if you've ever noticed, the bank has never come and fixed your roof. The bank has never come and fixed your toilet. The bank doesn't deal with those kinds of issues. And so that's what I really, really like, is that I get that cash flow without any of the headaches.
Yes, and often less investment too.
Yes,
So,
often.
yeah. So you have, are you looking for investors? Like you have people who come to you with money, they're looking to buy notes. How does that work?
Yeah. So for the last several years, I've been working with investors really since 2010, and then it was finally this year we went ahead and put together a U.S. based investment fund. So if anyone's familiar with how that works, it's called a 506c fund, which just means that now I have the right to mix investors' monies together. So before I was doing joint venture agreements where I'd have an investor, and for each investor I brought on, everything had to be kept separate from everyone else, which was fine and that worked up until we had more than 20 investors, and that became much more administratively difficult. So that was our wake up call to say, wait a second, I think we're doing this the hard way. So we went ahead and put together this fund, which is great, and it's open to accredited investors. They can get in. Not only does it make my life easier, but it actually is much better for the investor as well. You're part of a much bigger pool, so that in case of, if something goes wonky with one or two, it is not the end of the world. That's one of 100 notes that we've got in the fund, and it's not felt the same way as if you only had 4 or 5 with me individually. So that's been a big help. The other big advantage to the fund for the investor is we pay out 8%. We do a quarterly distribution. You know when you're going to get paid, you know how you're going to get paid, you know how much you're going to get paid. And so it's far more predictable than what we've done in the past. Of course, nothing's perfect, and I can't guarantee you anything, but I'm very, very confident with our numbers and our processes. So that's what we're able to offer people.
That's perfect. So for the investor, they don't have to worry about it. They just get their 8%. And you have to deal with, there's a certain percentage of the properties they don't go as smoothly as you like. But
yeah, like anything, and anything you do, you've got the plan on paper. What was it, Mike Tyson, that said everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face?
Yeah.
That
I
kind of
think
thing.
that you and I know Desi Arnaz and Patrick
Yeah.
Franz in San Diego, and Desi one time said, like, if you're only going to buy, you only have enough to invest in one note.
Yeah.
You get a good performing solid note, else you lose too much sleep. And then he just said, eventually, if you've got 10 notes and one of them goes south, it's not the end of the world. So you have a much bigger fund,
Yeah.
and there's this other issues, and the investor doesn't even have to know about it.
No, honestly, they
they're just
don't.
gonna,
And of course, we do a
yeah,
month or a quarterly report along with the payment.
yeah,
So if
yeah.
you want to know, great, I'm happy to share. But if you don't, and you're just happy collecting your 8%, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And Desi and Patrick say, like, if they go, you have a couple of people in investing on a note, on a smaller basis,
Yeah.
and you're taking the lead on it, and something goes wrong, just don't even tell the other person something went wrong. Just deliver what you promised them, and move on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No, and at the end of the day, of course, everyone just wants to get paid. They want to make sure that their investment is secure. I've been doing this a number of years now.
number of years.
I've become a professional.
You becoming for professional for sure. I'm a bit like you. Like you said, you were just getting into this, and then you stumbled across this whole world of
Yeah.
mortgage note investing. Like
Yeah.
I met. I think Desi called me for help with something else, and I asked him what he did. This is mortgage note investing. He said, "What's that?"
Yeah.
So I had no idea. And some people I talk to in Canada just say, "Well, that can't be a thing." So,
And that's
but it
what I
is.
thought. Absolutely. That's what I thought getting in. Really? You can do that? You can just buy and sell mortgages? What about the property? And
This
for
should be
myself,
illegal.
yeah, exactly. It took me a little while to kind of get my head around how it works and why that would work.
Yeah.
But with more experience and doing it more, it became obvious that yes, this is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and as you said, when it comes down to it, it's just a promissory note, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
yeah, secured by the real estate,
secured by the real estate,
and we've bought it at a discount. So let's say, the house is worth, and I'll use real examples, and I know this will blow some Canadians' minds, but let's say the house is worth 200,000, which you can't do that in Canada, but that's why we go to the States. So house is worth 200,000. The balance owing on the mortgage might be 150. I would pay something like 125, 130 for that. So I've got a ton of equity in there. So we're extremely well protected. And again, in case of something goes south, it can still drop in value, and that's such a large margin that we're still very well protected.
Yeah, my joke is $500,000 will buy you a really nice chicken coop in Vancouver, right? But there are a lot of places in rural areas, and even Ontario and Quebec, and then many places down in the States where that number doesn't even make sense to them. As you say, you can get a whole pretty nice house for $200,000 in some places, and then it's not totally unreasonable.
No, absolutely. And I buy most of the notes that I buy. The properties tend to be kind of on the eastern half of the country, so like Michigan down to Texas, and pretty much everything in between.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, something pops up where it fits my parameters, and it'll be in Arizona or Nevada or somewhere. But
yeah, like in some of in the Dallas area, if you want to build a subdivision, you just push out into this marginal land that's not even good ranch land, and build so the land is almost free relative to a place like Vancouver where there isn't any. Everything's going to go up or be very expensive. So
exactly.
Yeah. So along the lines of that is I realized that there are quite a few very large conferences and things like the Diversified Mortgage Expo. How many people are you expecting in Nashville next year?
Probably around 300.
300, yeah.
Yeah. And this is all just people that are involved with notes somehow. One of our big focuses actually is getting the people that are creating notes, doing what I used to do, where they were selling houses on terms. So we've invited a lot of those people, and the gurus, the people that are teaching people how to do that, to get their groups out there. What we found is just in this last 12 months, there are a lot of these note creators that don't know that note buyers exist. And we're going, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? We can do so much business together. So somebody creates a note. They bought a house for, let's throw some numbers in. So they bought a house for $100,000. Maybe they did a little work to it. Maybe they didn't, but they sold it on terms for like 150. And then, and they collected a down payment on that. So now the balance is, say, 130. They can then sell that note. I would buy that for 110, 115. So they've collected that down payment, plus they've collected the money from me. They're totally cashed out, so they can go out and do it again. And we can just do this over and over and over and over again. I'm happy because I got a great note. The people in the house are happy because now they've got a great house. And the initial investor's happy because now he's got a process where he can turn these over and over and over again and make some really nice income.
No, that's fabulous. Some people look at this way as from the buyer's point of view. It allows some buyers to get into a house where they couldn't go through a normal bank or a normal mortgage company. And sometimes when it doesn't go as smoothly as you might want, there's some flexibility, and you could end up making more money in the long run if you're flexible and can work out a deal.
Yeah, definitely. The cool thing when I first got started in this, it was when everything was defaulted. Nobody was making any payments, and like literally that's what was available. So we were able to pick it up real cheap, which was great. What it also meant was we had an awesome opportunity to work with people and get them back on track. And we're really good at it. Frankly, we're better than banks at it because the bank has their box of what fits and what doesn't fit. And we can do all kinds of cool stuff and be creative, and just with the ultimate goal of helping people stay in their home and make payment. ultimately, I actually don't want to own property. That's my ultimate goal. I don't want to own any houses. I just want to collect notes.
You're just facilitating people to stay in their homes, get a home,
Yeah.
and make good money in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think your expo, the Diversified Mortgage Expo, is not until May, is that?
Yeah, May 31st, June 1st out in Nashville.
Yeah.
But put it on your calendars. I mean, if you want, tickets are open. Go ahead and buy a ticket now. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, it's open. We're really excited about this. My wife and I took this over for 2023. That was our first time running it. But this was 2023 was the 8th annual. So it's been around for a little while. And we're happy to take it over and kind of put our own twist on things and our own personality into it. And we had a great time. It was an absolutely fantastic conference. Lots of fun, lots of learning. It was just lots and lots of networking. So it was really great to just everybody get together.
And I understand there's a pre-event night in a local bar. What do you want to describe what that is?
Yeah. So to give you an idea, I mentioned we put our own twist on it. One of those things is the night before the conference starts, we do an axe throwing tournament. So you've got to sign up for it and you got to, register. It's included in your ticket, but you do need to register because space is limited. So people come, you can either register as a participant or as a spectator. And you can get in on this conference tournament and become the axe throwing champion for that year. And it's a ton of fun. And it's just a fantastic way for everyone to just relax, have fun, and it turns into really great networking because everybody's having fun and chatting.
No, that's fabulous. That's another thing I never anticipate as being a thing. Axe throwing in a bar. When I was growing up, that seemed like a really bad idea.
Yeah, it's a whole sport. There's places all over the place. In fact, Vancouver, I'm sure, has some places where you can go.
I'm sure. We were in went to a church service with people we were visiting in the Los Angeles area, and the young minister there took people out to the bar to throw axes. He's from Ireland, I guess, but anyway.
Okay. Awesome.
So, but I mean that would like, oh, what's a recreational event for the church members? I'll just go throw axes in a bar.
So I have to give a plug here because my claim to fame is that my brother-in-law is the one who invented the sport. So people have been throwing axes forever, but as a sport, that was my brother-in-law who invented that, Matt Wilson.
Awesome. Yeah,
so his Battle, BATL.
Okay.
And it stands for Backyard Axe Throwing League. And it literally started in his backyard, and then he took it inside, and then it's become a serious sport. They're on ESPN. Like it's a serious sport. So it's a ton of fun, but it's really great just to get together and have fun.
Yeah. And if you can combine that with pickleball, we would have something a little bit tragic. Maybe not.
We'll see. That could be interesting.
Yeah. Aussie rules pickleball.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. This has been great. And the best place is to find you probably on LinkedIn. And then you've got a website that's under construction, I understand.
Yeah, our Earnest investing website's under construction. So actually, if you're in the US, it's still available in Canada. Currently, it's not, which is just the way it's working out. But anyway, it should be rectified soon. But yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, I'm around. So reach out.
Easy enough to find.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.